Well-known author, investment banker, consumer advocate, analyst, trader. Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street.
You want answers?
Exposing the lies and myths that the big brokerage firms, the mainstream press, and the government are pushing to keep Americans away from financial freedom.
You can't handle the truth.
Bringing America the truth about what really happens in the financial world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to indulge in fantasy, but in political and economic reality.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
All righty. Is everybody getting used to the stock photography changes, the various different business publications and websites out there? Market goes up. Happy traders. Yay. Markets go down. Oh, no. Oh, no. Woe is me. Traders grabbing their heads. Yeah, that's just stock photography. And let's just roll it out and try to keep people, grand part of the conspiracy to keep people poor and stupid, keep them watching this stuff and thinking that they're able to trade these markets, because you can't. You can't. Okay? You can't do it. Stop trying to time the markets. Stop listening to these people that tell you why the markets went up and why the markets go down. Oh, yeah, I know. Evergrande, China. That was a part of it. Part of knocking the markets down, but also part, hey, you know what? Anytime some bad news comes up, people say, hey, you know what? We're going to take some profits off the table. How many times have you had absolutely wonderful economic news and the markets went down? Got an explanation for that? No, neither do I. Neither do I. You know, the funny thing is, I just popped into my head. When I first started working on Wall Street many moons ago, some of the people that I used to work with, some of the trainees in the office, they came from families that had means and they had money, and they would every day, these are stockbrokers, back when I was a stockbroker, they would trade the markets. They would trade. The little bit of information they had, they had their Wall Street Journal on the way to work, and they had the pink pages of the Financial Times were in the office. And again, stockbrokers. My office that had money would try to trade the markets on any given day. And it was basically gambling. They would lose. They would lose. And I used to watch this, and I realized, I said, this is an exercise in futility. These are stockbrokers. These are the people supposedly telling you when to buy, sell, and hold. Yeah, they had an insight. No. Okay? Again, markets can be irrational over the short term. Over the long term, if you own fundamentally sound companies, you're going to do just fine. Anyway, with that being said, yes, today on the program, I've spent a great deal of time digging into this Evergrande situation, what's going on in China, how it could affect us going down the road, and just how corrupt it is over there. And we've alluded to this for years on the program. How I said, numbers come out of China, economic growth numbers, this numbers, that. Throw them out the window, okay? It's coming from a command and control economy. We've seen this before, right? Oh, in Soviet Union, yes, that was a great harvest. Oh, food stuff going through the roof. Meanwhile, they're starving most of the Ukraine at that point in time. Now, see, you can't believe what they're saying. You get little excerpts here and there, and I'd say to myself, this is a bubble. This is a massive bubble. How China's going to get out from underneath this, I don't know. But we're gonna take a look at what Xi Jinping is planning and the direction they're taking China, and quite frankly, the opportunity for our country. The opportunity for our country right now, because they're heading in the wrong direction. However, unfortunately, the powers that be in this country want to head in the same direction China is going. But we'll get into that a little bit. I want to talk a little bit about valuation again. As the markets were selling off and going down, I got to remind people, you have to take a look around because there's a lot of value out there as well. Oh, value is dead. Not so much. There's nothing wrong with reallocating assets into companies that, quite frankly, have sold off to some degree. I took a look at the numbers. These are dated. These are about a week ago. I didn't feel like running them again. As far as the S&P 500 is concerned, and again, I know numbers don't translate well on radio. 15% of the S&P 500 down 20% or more below its 52-week highs. 30% of the S&P mid-cap and 48% of the S&P small-cap. Now, again, small cap a little bit different. But these are some major names there that are down, that are paying nice dividends, that, again, you want to take advantage of. And we've explained this before here on the program. Compounding, great yields over time is the royal road to riches. Play with the compounding calculator. We love companies that pay us to own them. We love companies like that. But anyway, moving on. I want to, I want to again basically go back in time to some degree, based talking about financial preparation and what it's all about, what you need to do. And I'm going to pull up something that I grabbed. This is almost 20 years ago in a column by a great financial writer by the name of Nick Murray. Nick Murray wrote, again, it's 20 some odd years ago. In the book of Genesis, God gives Adam and Eve dominion over all the earth, forbidding them only from tasting the fruit of the knowledge of good and evil. And for a moment, their innocence is perfect. Then, being only human, they succumb and bite the apple. This is the original transgression. And when they've committed it, everything bad about earthly life comes rushing into the world. Sin, shame, toil, sickness, death. They made just one mistake, but it was the one and only thing that they were forbidden to do. And he writes in that strange way, proper portfolio management, proper investing, doing the right thing is a little like that earthly paradise. When it's done right, long-term preparation is aligned with your lifetime goals. There's certain things that you're looking to achieve. And granted, you need to adapt to, because guess what? Sometimes your goals may change. Things will change. You do things that way, there's an integrity to it, there's an innocence to it, looking towards goals, achieving, overcoming obstacles. Again, this is something that I think is part of our existence as human beings, overcoming obstacles, achieving goals. This is an appropriate means to a healthy end. Financial peace and building legacies for those that will follow. We all want to do that. We all want to give something back. Do we not? Do we not want to build and give things back and build and create? Of course we do. And if it's done the right way, you can. Now, back then, 20 years ago, I was writing about conventional wisdom and poison. Rather than use conventional wisdom so much nowadays here on the program, we talk about narratives. And the narratives, the conventional wisdom of the day, the crap that they keep preaching on all these business programs out there, it hasn't changed. All the advice, all this financial advice, whether it be from whatever journalists at whatever publication or stockbrokers or advisors, more often than not, it is the inverse of what is prudent. The inverse of what is prudent for individuals. Wall Street and the business press are enriched when people are essentially brainwashed into a culture of buy, sell, and hold. It was true 20 years ago. It was true 30 years ago. It's true today. In fact, they've managed to digitize it. with some of the applications that they look to use. Like narcotic dealers, brokerage firms, online trading firms. They make greater amounts of money when people are essentially doing the wrong thing. How many times have we discussed this? Again, it's going back to when the discount houses were starting up. Oh, it's going to be terrible for all the big firms out there. No, it's not. The big firms are behind all of this stuff. They would like nothing more than to see a bunch of suckers out there. You know, it's like that old phrase, taking candy from a baby. These big firms are going to fleece you. And I've seen it in every aspect of Wall Street. From currency trading to mergers and acquisitions to investment banking to money management. The thing is, you do not have to participate in that crap. Don't. You're not going to win. Another thing, again, that's been around for a while. I mentioned it last week on the program. We were talking, did some ripoffs and scams, and I might go through a bunch of them today as well. May go a little bit old school. I haven't decided. Greed, materialism. This is good stuff. Good stuff for con artists. Good stuff for con artists out there. Oh, yes, it is. Again, I mentioned back when I first started my stockbroker training days. One of the things they were training us to do when we were speaking with people is paint them a picture. But when you're painting someone a picture of all of the champagne wishes and caviar dreams and all of the things that they're going to have, you paint that picture. You get them greedy for that. Then you sell them. Trying to teach what we do here on the program. Teaching individuals to center their life around goals, preparing for the unexpected. It's not lucrative. It's not lucrative. And to be quite honest with you, okay, the success that we've had here on the program, what we do, how we do things, they don't want to talk about this on air. That's the last thing in the world they want to do. Now, we've got quite a few radio stations, over 250 some odd radio stations around the country. Our podcast continues to grow. So, yeah, all these media outlets, they'd love to have me on because then they think, oh, okay, then I'm going to reach out to all of his viewers and listeners and all this stuff. But the things that they want me to talk about more often than that, I have no interest in. I'm not coming on your program and giving my top 5 stock picks because it's not the right thing to do. Do you understand? Wall Street makes a hell of a lot of money. Makes a hell of a lot of money when creating vehicles out there to nowhere. We're going to talk about that maybe a little bit later on the program as well. There's a recent study about ESG investing and what a scam that is. Getting people to invest in idiotic vehicles to nowhere and needless transactions. And again, you want to talk about financial journalism? It wasn't great 20 some odd years ago. It's much, much worse today. Much, much worse today. Not to mention all of the schlock brokers and would-be wizards of smart on radio all over the country. And another one that just got sent to jail for 30 some odd years had a syndicated radio program. The guy was barred from the industry. Yet he had a syndicated radio program where he was duping investors from coast to coast. So all of these things you need to get your arms around and understand. We're going to talk a little bit more about this. I'm looking at the clock right now, and I'm like, I'm getting long-winded again. Got to take a quick break. I do want to invite each and every one of you to become a part of the Watchdog on Wall Street family, the family at Markowski Investments. Get to our website, watchdogonwallstreet.com. That's watchdogonwallstreet.com. Our personal CFO program encompasses everything, all the help that you're going to need. We've got a lot of other great stuff there as well. You can sign up for our podcast, account repair kits, all sorts of great things. Watchdog on wallstreet.com, or again, give us a call, 800-471-5984.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Listen, what we do here at the Watchdog on Wall Street show, and separating us from the financial programs that are out there, is do we discuss topics that are in the news? Absolutely, and we try to digest them and go over them in a much, much different way than other shows do. It's, television is again, do their one segment, on to the next story. If it's important, I don't care. I'll spend an hour on it. And then I'll do it again and again and again if it's that important. We deal with the truth here on the program. Truth is not news. It's completely different. Completely different things. They're actually almost opposites in today's day and age. We're going to continue to cover the truth. Again, what would most programs be doing? Most financial programs talking about? Well, the averages did this and this. It's an exercise in futility. There's no point in that. We're trying to create wealth here on the program. Okay, I'm not trying to sell advertisements. Not trying to sell advertisements. I'm not trying to boost our ratings. I love it when listeners hear our program. They may be on vacation in Florida and go back and, call their local station and say, you got to get this show on the air. That's how our show has really grown over the years. Word of mouth, referrals. Let me tell you something. It's not for the advertising dollars, that's for sure, because we don't take any. I don't take any money from fund companies or I don't do any of that nonsense. It's different. I want to talk a little bit about greed and materialism. We've been bringing this up. Based a couple conversations that I've had at events over the course of the week. And again, it reminded me of something that I was writing a while ago, and I grabbed it. It was actually, I was quoting, again, it's 20 years ago, John Cradell, the New York Post, had a piece entitled, "Take It From a Mobster, Greed Sets the Trap." And I love this article because I've been talking about that for a long time. Fear and greed. Fear and greed are not good for the individual investor. Cradell wrote a long time ago, he said, "I know this guy, a mobster, and proud of it, who in his day put together some pretty creative and ingenious stock scams. And he was plenty proud of being able to fool the public. And one particular notable scam, he and some of his unscrupulous friends created fake financial statements for a company they purported to have developed a beer can that would chill itself when it was opened. They even held a demonstration for the press at the old World Trade Center. And sure enough, when the can was opened, it got cold. Scattered around the room were a bunch of SEC investigators. One was whispering questions in my ear that he wanted the supposed president of the company, not my mobster friend, to answer. Eventually, the FBI and the SEC shut this company down, but not until millions were stolen from investors." And again, he uses the word stolen. And I used to think that way too. I did. But were they really stolen? They didn't come and put a gun to anybody's head and tell you to invest in the company. And he said, I even use that word loosely because it never really existed. I once asked the mobster how it felt to steal from people like that. He said, "John, I couldn't have done it unless they were greedy. You're not greedy, so I could never steal from you." Again, I have a stack of stories I may get to today here on the program, ripoffs and scams from this week. I have my various different search vehicles that are constantly looking all over the country for these things. I get the phone calls from people from all over the country. It's the same thing, people. Same thing. You know, you have to understand that everything in life that has meaning, value, and worth involves work, time, and effort. There are no quick get-rich-quick schemes. They don't work. Got to take a break. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. A lot more on the program today. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street. The only man who is taking on the Wall Street establishment. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
You know, it's funny, you watch Gary Gensler from the SEC. He's all over the news and talking about, we need to look into this crypto thing, and we're going to do this, and we're going to regulate that. And, you know, that's the SEC. They write themselves a hell of a lot of regulations, a lot of rules out there. They add on to rules. We have a major blow up in .coms. What do we get? We got Sarbanes, Oxley. Then after the financial crisis, we get Dodd-Frank and more regulations. And what do we get? More ripoffs, more scams again and again and again. You need to understand something. FINRA, the SEC, they're not going to save you. Okay? They're not. They don't stop anything. I've explained this before here on the program. They are the crime scene investigators. They come in after the fact, after the damage has been done. They don't prevent fraud. Give me a break. There's only so much that we can do here on our radio show, on our podcast, for the various different appearances that we make. The reality is, people, we live in a free society, and with freedom comes responsibility. At some point in time, you're going to have to own stuff. You need to take ownership in the decisions that you make. Okay? This is going to keep you out of trouble. The reality is you get rich quick con artists, the world's second oldest profession. Yet we still have boiler rooms that exist out there. Investment banks, annuity salesmen. The media, they know what they're doing. They know the power of greed, and they use it. Like I say, when I first got started, the bulk of our training in the industry wasn't devoted to proper asset allocation and managing people's money properly, proper portfolio management. It was sales. Sales, sitting for hours, listening to sales managers preach on how to push people's greed buttons, how to get them to ignore common sense and to buy exactly what the firm wanted them to buy. Materialism is, it's a part of this as well. And it's, again, it's a gravitational, it is a black hole. It is a black hole. Social media has put this on steroids. People posting pictures of what I have, what I'm doing, all this stuff. I need to keep up. Keeping up with the Joneses has been put on steroids. How many people out there that have the facade of wealth and don't have the proverbial pot to urinate in? We see it all the time. And the reality is, once you get sucked into this black hole, you know how difficult it is to escape? You know what the reality is? Because once you start doing that, you can never have enough. Because guess what? Somebody's going to always have more. Somebody's going to have a bigger house. Somebody's going to have a fancier car, a better whatever. The materialism God is quite the voracious appetite, and it enslaves its faithful. You don't want to fall into this trap. Again, I know this is a bit philosophical. Man, this stuff you're not going to hear on CNBC and Fox Business and this round table and Fast Money and this one. And no. Do you own, ask yourself, do you own your possessions, or do your possessions own you? Again, do you own your possessions, or do your possessions own you? Again, another thing I wanted to discuss as well is just risk. Risk. The need to understand it, and it's the most important thing that we need to do. And again, it's like I've talked about this on the program, due to inflation, due to taxes, this is constantly changing all the time. Navigating and understanding risk. This scenario I put together a while ago. It's a driving scenario, and we'll talk about this, and we'll get back into risk before we've got to take a quick break here. But I want to mention this. Think about this during the break. You need to drive to a neighboring city on a regular basis. The drive will take 1.5 hours at 70 miles an hour. However, if you decide to drive at 95 miles per hour, you will shave 20 minutes off the drive time. If you decide to drive at 95 miles an hour, your chances of getting into a horrible accident are significantly higher. Is taking on that additional risk worth the 20 minutes? Think about this during the break, and we'll get into risk when we get back. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. Our personal CFO program. All sorts of great stuff there at the site. WatchDogOnWallStreet.com. We'll be back.
You make me feel like I am. What a waste of time. The thought crossed my mind, but I never missed a beat.
You should believe in math, not magic. You're listening to The Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Yeah, it's one of the things that oftentimes what I've seen over the years is a lot of the investment con artists out there. I don't care if it's from a big brokerage firm, small brokerage firm, advisors, commercials on TV, as they gloss over the risk. They sell investments based upon expected return. The higher the return that they're, the higher the risk. And again, this is important for people to fully understand the pounding. Some of the, again, and I deal with this all the time, some of the various different investments that people get themselves involved with, they're actually promised rates of return which are patently absurd. Like 18 to 20% a month. And I get frustrated, and I have to say, I say, listen, do you understand what that equates to over a period of time? Do you understand you'd be one of the wealthiest people on the planet with this rate of return? If there was ever such a thing as this rate of return, they don't need you. Why would they need you to get involved? Salesmen always gloss over the risks. And like I said before, guys tell you that they're experts at timing. Doesn't work. Doesn't work. You do understand that there are trading firms out there that are able to time the markets, and they have supercomputers that trade in milliseconds, and they act on various little movements in the market. They don't care what in the world that they're buying. It's not what they do. It's more of a video game, an algorithm for them. And they also know where you're buying if you're working with certain outfits on there. That's why they pay for that order flow. That's how places like Robinhood, that's why they exist, is you're the product. Do you understand? You're using Robinhood, these online traders. You are the product that is being sold. The information that you provide based on what you're doing, these other firms get it ahead of you. They know what you're doing. Actually think about it before you do. And this is how Wall Street profits from it. Proper asset allocation. Balanced financial preparation. This mitigates risk. Mitigates it. And allows you to help go out there and prepare and do what you want to do in life. Go out and get those goals. Go out there and achieve. Overcome those obstacles. Successful investors are people who have their finances managed in the service of what they want to do in life. They're not out there trying to beat the market. And I get it. That's that again. This is what they want out of you. Okay, you can beat the market. Double-digit returns, proven trading software, financial guru explains it all, blah, 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 blah. These are all temptations, my friends, and trust me, I know they're difficult to ignore. Okay, they are. We're always trying to bring the highest level of returns to our clients. Outperformance is desirable, but it's not a goal. Watchdog on wallstreet.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street. Bringing America financial freedom one listener at a time. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the one, the only, the Watchdog on Wall Street show. Yeah. We try our darndest here to get you to avoid all of these temptations that get so many people in so much trouble out there. Again, I'm starting to get some of the numbers from some of the people that I know in regards to a lot of these young investors and meme traders and what do they call themselves? The apes out there. Broke, busted, and disgusted, just like we told you was going to happen. It wasn't a matter of if, it was a matter of when. Yeah, it was funny. It's all these investors thought that they were storming the Bastille or something like that. But you think you're going to win? Really? You think you're going to take on J.P. Morgan, Goldman Sachs, and Morgan? Don't. That's just dumb. Okay? That's just dumb. Just don't bother trying. I remember one part of my early part of my career, I had me training, was doing some stuff with understanding the Forex, the foreign currency markets, and how it went about being traded. And I watched front and center. You'd have various different small firms out there all over Wall Street. And, they would, tell their clients around the country that they know we could trade the foreign currency markets. And I'd watch, the big firms basically destroy them. They could actually move markets. So what's the point here? You got to think, people. You got to understand what the market is. It's a tool. It's a tool to becoming wealthy over time. We're always working our tails off to provide the highest level of return. But you also have to balance that risk. Outperformance is desirable, but it's not the goal. Goals are different. You want to retire at a certain age, fine. Funding a retirement, that's a goal. Paying for your kids' education, there's another goal. Leaving some sort of legacy for your family, that's a goal. Putting a wing on a hospital, that's a goal. Goal-oriented investing is about accumulating and growing one's assets to meet all of these goals. The portfolio is always the servant of one's goals. A goal-oriented investor acts. A market-driven investor, again, what do they want you to do? React. They want you watching their programs on TV. Oh, what are you doing? What's this one doing? And you're going to react based upon what they just said. And the reality is outperforming the market. These wizards of smart. Oh, this one's got such great. Look at it perform. It's not a difficult thing to do over time. It's not a difficult thing to do. It's not something to accomplish if you do it over time. If you're paying yourself every single month, this is a big one. This is a big one. Remember, go to a more recent one. Whether it be during the .com collapse, whether it be during the financial crisis or the COVID. No, do not change what you're doing. Do not change. If you put money away every single month, you're paying yourself every month. I don't care what the markets are doing. I don't care if James Cramer's jumping up and down on his desk on CNBC telling you to sell, Mortimer, sell like Duke and Duke, trading places. No. What you do is you continue to do what you've been doing. Fundamentals change in certain companies. Okay, I get that. But every single time that I've been told, that we've all been told that the end of the world is coming, guess what? The end of the world never came. And they turned out to be phenomenal buying opportunities. Just so happened that when I'm doing my self-exam, the day that what was this last? I'm trying to remember. This past week, markets were down. Oh, it's falling off the cliff. Evergrande's taking place. That was the day I had to cut checks to my retirement accounts. Right, when we were doing our what we do on a regular basis. Did I change because the markets were down? No. I was actually happy. I'm like, ooh, look at this. Look at this. I'm going to be able to pick up some stuff on sale. So, again, you pay yourself every single month. You dollar cost average. We talked about compounding here. Taking advantage of the best safe yields you can find. And, again, I know it's very, very difficult in this environment. We've talked about this ad nauseum here on the program, inflation and what it's doing to your money, what it's doing to your portfolios. And then we've got to look to other areas that, we used to jump into, but not to the degree we are now, preferred stocks, other things out there that we need to do to get some of those returns. I know it's boring, but it works. Look for value, my friends. Asset prices, they move in long patterns. Wait till things go on sale. You want to get more for your money. And, of course, we talk about all the time, is proper asset allocation, proper diversification, rebalancing portfolios. I honestly, that's about 95% of a portfolio's performance is due to proper asset allocation, diversification, and rebalancing. It is what it is. The reason why you never hear this talked about on any of the news programs out there, you know what? Because it's not news. What I'm telling you right now is not newsworthy. But it's true. It's true. There's the difference, people. It's truth. They want you buying their magazines. They want you buying their newspapers. They want you paying attention to their programs. Once you understand the truth, you have no use for their news. Got to take a break. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. Become a part of the Watchdog on Wall Street family. Take advantage of all the great stuff we have. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. We'll be back.
You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street. Well-known author, investment banker, consumer advocate, analyst, trader. Chris Markowski is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
You want answers?
exposing the lies and myths that the big brokerage firms, the mainstream press, and the government are pushing to keep Americans away from financial freedom.
You can't handle the truth.
Bringing America the truth about what really happens in the financial world.
Ladies and gentlemen, we're not here to indulge in fantasy, but in political and economic reality.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Yes, it is. Welcome, everybody. It is the one, the only, the Watchdog on Wall Street. So always honored to have you tuned into the program. So much that we've got to go over on the program. I know, again, we've been talking quite often about, again, the terrain, the reality on the ground. Inflation, that monster that's out there right now that's eating into everything we do. Last Sunday, I was, I had the unfortunate, listen, I had a wonderful time at the tailgate before the Jets-Patriots game. The game itself, well, let's just say, and it's, I don't mean to offend anybody who's into curling, it's pretty much like that stone on the ice with the broom thing. It was that bad. And I actually told my best friend's got season tickets, who happens to be my opinion, one of the greatest accountants in the country, who works for you if you're a client of ours, does all of our accounting for our people here. I said, John, listen, just give me a parking pass, and I'll just come to the tailgate, hang out, we'll grill, and then I'll just go home after the fact, because the traffic on the way home for a lousy game is just not worth it. But anyway, as I get off the beaten track, I had to go, you got a contribution to the tailgate, and my contribution were the steaks. So you go and purchase the steaks for the game. And I just say I haven't been grocery shopping in some time. Holy shnikes. What are they feeding cows nowadays? Truffles? Seriously. What is the feed now? It's insane, the price. I'm saying, I know the prices are going up, but the sticker shock when you actually see it and pay it, it's incredible to me. It is a killer. Now, the current administration, and I'm going to be honest with you, okay? And we are equal opportunity bashers here on the program. We go after Democrats, we go after Republicans. But these people don't know their buttocks from a hole in the ground when it comes to the world around us, when it comes to the economy. They actually have their economic advisors coming out and blaming the high costs of meat, gasoline, electricity, whatever the hell it is, they're blaming business. They're blaming business is what they're doing. It's so bad. They're colluding with one another. It's some sort of racket. It's some sort of scam. That's great. It's great. Yeah, they did this before. Remember when gasoline prices first went over $3 a gallon? It was during the Iraq War. Bush was president. And then they parade all of the executives from the oil companies down in front of Congress, and Maxine Waters threatens to socialize these companies because of the insane profits. And then on the other side, you have Bill O'Reilly on Fox News, O'Reilly Factor. There's an obscene profits tax, having no understanding on how markets actually work. And it's sad that the people inside the Beltway, they don't understand how the world works. They don't get it. And to me, it's like not understanding the recipe to make ice, for crying out loud. They actually believe that they have some sort of control over the economy when it's patently absurd. Yeah, some of the industries out there, the meat industry is basically hitting back at the Biden administration. Like, what are you talking about? Do you see how difficult it is for us to actually even have workers here? We can't even get the stuff out fast enough. You think that the supply and demand, you might want to get your arms around supply and demand. Again, anything that doesn't fit what they want, their utopian version or narrative, they disregard. They disregard if it doesn't fit with what they want, if it is a truth that they do not like, they completely disregard it. We've got major issues throughout the economy. I had a couple of the home builders this past week. The supply chain issues that they have, how difficult it is, how long it's going to take to build a home, the extra cost that's involved with all this. I think I saw this past week, PVC piping. PVC piping, that's part of putting in a home. Through the roof. Through the roof. And then, you take a look at energy prices and gas prices and where electricity prices are, where propane is, where natural gas is. You get this left-wing insanity out there that it's somehow the energy company's fault. You want to talk about insanity? This administration was shutting down supply. Again, understanding supply and demand. Let's look at some of the headlines here. Okay, Biden. This past week, Biden looking into why gasoline prices at the pump are so high. Okay, let's go back a couple weeks ago. Democrats want to add new drilling bans to Biden's $3.5 trillion infrastructure bill. Oh, let's go back 9 months. Biden suspends oil and gas leasing in slew of executive actions on climate change. Oh, let's go back a little further. Keystone XL pipeline halted as Biden revokes permit. Hey, again, I don't know why the prices are going up. Must be those energy companies. They must be colluding. No, Joe, you just don't understand how supply and demand work. And again, it's not just here. It's all over the globe. So what do we have this past week? And it was kind of fascinating. You had the Federal Reserve come out. Federal Reserve came out this past week and we're going to signal. We're putting some signals out there. You know, they should come out, the members of the Federal Reserve, they should come out with those long orange flashlights they have at, the people at the airports there that are, taking that airplane in that last 50 feet. You know what I'm talking about? Waving them in. We're signaling here. It's the Fed. We're signaling that we're going to taper. We're signaling we're going to taper here. And guess what? Next year, we may possibly have to raise rates. Right. Sure. How are you going to do that? I can understand maybe tapering a little bit. Okay, what are you going to raise rates to? You're going to raise a quarter point? Maybe. But let's be perfectly honest here, like we are here on the program. It's not possible. Again, that you want truth, this is truth. And no one is providing this truth. And again, it's sad. Republicans can't even lay this out. If interest rates and money were priced properly, we'd be paying much, much higher rates. We'd be receiving much more higher rates on our savings, on our cash positions, on bonds, you name it. The United States government is $28 trillion in debt, and it's getting worse instead of better. Again, we'll talk maybe a little bit later on the program, this whole debt ceiling charade that's going on right now. Most of our debt instruments are short term. That means the federal government has to constantly pay them back when they come due and then borrow again. So essentially, our government, again, put this way, again, some of you lefties listen to this program. I know you don't want to hear this. They're paying one credit card off with another credit card. Now, what do you think happens to our budget when the interest payments, which are at ridiculous lows, artificially depressed lows? What happens if they go up? Then the United States, we the people, the taxpayers, are going to have to pay a greater interest rate on all of the new money that we continue to borrowing, that we continue to borrow, that we continue to have to roll over. What do you think that will do to our budget then? How do you think that is going to work out? So, no, I don't think the Fed is going to do much. I think that we're stuck right now. Again, we're stuck in a surreal world. I told you, every single person that I trust, I talk to in regards to this, we all say the same thing. I don't know. This is uncharted territory. You get it? Black hole type stuff. And we don't have anybody in D.C. that wants to be somewhat fiscally responsible. And no, you cannot tax your way out of a $28 trillion hole. Just can't do it. You have to cut back. Going to take a break, and I want to kind of maybe delve into this to a little bit greater degree. We got a lot more financial planning stuff. We got to talk about China, too. I spent a lot of time. Some shocking stuff. Fascinating and shocking. A lot of different adjectives you can use to describe what's going on in China. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Again, we invite you to become a part of the Watchdog on Wall Street family, our personal CFO program. Everything, nuts to bolts. Lawyers, accountants, financial planners, it's for everyone, okay? This is not just if you have, millions and millions of dollars. We help everyone out. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Get there. We also have a 24-hour day help hotline, 800-471-5984.
Taking Wall Street's liars, crooks, and cheats out behind the woodshed. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Welcome back, everybody, to the Watchdog on Wall Street show. Somebody told me that this past week, they're like, I graduated from college back in the 1980s, and if I were to tell you, my professors back then that one day we would see Treasury yields at 1.25, an official inflation growth rate, official, even though it means it's not really official, it's actually much higher, of over 5%, markets going through the roof, actual, real GDP that's kind of on the negative side, consumer sentiment tanking, they'd probably flunk me. And it was a pretty astute point that the person was making. Okay, and this is something that everyone needs to understand when it comes to, again, managing money. Weird things happen, and you're going to need to navigate them, and that's what we're doing. It's gotten much, much more difficult. It's gotten much worse over the past several years. But let's be honest, we've been dealing with the inflation monster. Well, the lies about what true inflation has been going back to Greenspan. I've been complaining about the Federal Reserve and this nonsense since Greenspan. I would much rather see, some of the more balanced, I call them more balanced portfolios in regards to assets. Look at it this way. I would like to have more tools in my toolbox. Tools that I used to have. Tools that, hey, you know what? I can get some sort of return on government bonds. Because you're not getting a return now. You're losing. I'd like to keep some money in cash and not have it, have it go backwards at upwards of 10% over the course of the year. This is what inflation does. I want to talk a little bit about, again, valuations and understanding valuations here. I see there was a big IPO this past week, and I got, I'm bringing this up because I got several emails in regards to this, because we have quite a few clients that happen to be in the food services industry, happen to be in restaurants at this point in time. And the company that went public, it's called Toast. And basically, they've got this hardware and software or technology that helps restaurants deal with ordering and bill paying and all sorts. It's a myriad of different things, and it's kind of neat. I'll invest in Neat. I will. I'll speculate on Neat if it's priced accordingly. Do you understand? I will. But this company went public at $40 a share. What did it closed, the first day at over 60? Think about that for a second. So, again, I want you to understand, the owners of the company, the people who built this company, and good for them, they did this on their own, okay? They're entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs took this company public, and I didn't really even delve into where all the proceeds were going because it wasn't going to do it because I knew it was going to be overhyped. If they were willing to sell it to you on Wednesday for $40 a share, why would you go out and buy the company, that same company that the owners valued at $40 a share along with their investment bankers? Why are you going to pay 50% higher price the same day? I mean, this is not a piece of artwork where, you're getting people, vying over to hang on their walls to stroke their egos. This is an investment. The owners of the company priced it at 40 on Wednesday, and you're going to pay over 60 on Wednesday? Don't do that. Don't. It doesn't make any sense. But if it goes to 80? There you go. FOMO. Fear of missing out. And again, understanding risk. For every one of those companies that go up 50% on day one that end up going higher over the short term, how many go in the opposite direction? It's a neat company. I get that. Neat. And I don't mind neat. I don't mind speculating a little bit on companies that are neat, okay, when they're priced properly. And that's some of the things that again, people need to get their arms around. They need to understand. I mentioned this last hour on the program. I get a kick out of studies. I do. You ever see this university conducted a study? This university conducted a study. Because most of these studies that they conduct, I get a kick out of because I'm like, you need to conduct a study. You need to conduct a study to understand that this was a racket. It was a scam. It was funny. This is actually out of France, a business school in France. Isn't that an oxymoron? But anyway, business school in France actually did a study on ESG investing. Yes. I am for socially conscious. I am woke. I love the the crap that they're trying to sell you. All these climate change ETF woke crap out there. They actually came to the conclusion after doing a study that they are undermining and counterintuitive to the fight against global warming. You don't say. You don't say. We talked about this here on the show, right? I didn't need to conduct a study. I could just observe. It doesn't take long to take a look at what makes up these portfolios. You can get a kick out of this nonsense. It's a sales tactic, okay? You have a large swath of society that, for whatever reason it may be, feels like they need to belong to something, a part of something. And it's sad. And it's sad. And they invest in these things, what do they call it, greenwashing, to make themselves feel good. To make themselves feel good about where they're investing. People, again, stop being a sucker. Stop being a part of the conspiracy to keep people poor and stupid. All right? It's not a good thing by any stretch of the imagination. Anyway, we'll get back quickly. Talk a little bit about cryptocurrencies and some of the things that have come out over the past week. Again, I always get spirited comments in my email box about the old cryptos. Anyway, got to take a quick break. You are listening to the one, the only, the Watchdog on Wall Street radio show. Again, become a part of our family. Personal CFO program, our podcast, everything at our website, absolutely free. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com or give us a call, 800-471-5984. We'll be back.
Watch the world die.
This is the Watchdog on Wall Street.
Welcome back, everybody. It is the Watchdog on Wall Street show. There's a couple headlines, got various different big-time money managers out there talking about cryptocurrencies. Crypto, just as John Paulson, hedge fund billionaire guy, just made a fortune shorting the housing bubble. I got to hand it to him. Again, we told you the whole thing was going to collapse. It was going to fall apart. But some of these guys out there, some of these hedge fund guys, they were able to do it. Found a way of actually shorting the housing market. He said in an interview that he wouldn't recommend cryptocurrencies to anyone. He said there is a cryptocurrency bubble that will eventually prove to be worthless. He said, I would describe them as a limited supply of nothing. So to the extent there's more demand than the limited supply, the price would go up. But to the extent the demand falls, then the price would go down. There's no intrinsic value to any of the cryptocurrencies except that there's a limited amount. It's a pretty good way of describing it. A limited amount of nothing. Again, one could make the counter argument. What is the value of that $20 bill in your pocket? It's a piece of paper, right? It's, guys pressing buttons in Washington, D.C. create more of that out of thin air too, right? So I can understand to some degree the counter argument. The problem is that it's very difficult to fight the proverbial city hall. And let me tell you something. Uncle Sam doesn't like competition when it comes to money. Doesn't. And they could easily destroy that entire market in a heartbeat. The U.S. agency, this is from the, I was off of Yahoo Finance. No, it's Bloomberg, excuse me. The U.S. agency that had once been the great hope of the cryptocurrency world is now issuing strong warnings to the industry that it's in danger of echoing the toxic culture before the 2008 financial crash. Michael Zhu, the acting chief of the Office of the Comptroller of the Currency, argued that cryptocurrencies and decentralized finance may be evolving into threats to the financial system in much the same way certain derivatives brought it near collapse more than a decade ago. Credit default swaps were engineered by math wizards in much the same way crypto has emerged. And he says that it's on a path right now to what the CDSs looked like in the early 2000s. Again, one of the things that he mentions as well, and again, I don't understand this. I don't understand this, is how in the world do you have these high yield savings products when it comes to crypto? Can someone explain that to me? Where do the yields come from? Where does the money? How are these returns engineered? Where are they coming from? Like, I get it, okay? I buy a share of Apple. And I'm getting paid a dividend from Apple. I'm getting a yield from Apple. That's part of the profits because guess what? Apple sells stuff. How do you generate a yield from nothing? Anybody, remember this back from basic math? We started doing remember your multiplication tables? What's 9 times 0? What's 7 times 0? What's 5,772 times 0? How do you generate returns out of nowhere? And whenever you see, again, one of these crypto people out there, that, again, it's like a religion to them. It really is. It is a religion to them. It's like somebody trying to explain Scientology or something like that. They've got it all down, all the ins, outs, all that sort of stuff. That make no sense. That make no sense whatsoever, but it sounds good. But it sounds good. It makes no sense. Can't get your arms around. You think you do, and you know what you do? It's almost like they put you into, well, they don't do it to me, but they do it to many people. They put you into some sort of like trance where you start nodding your head. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. They're just pulling the Obi-Wan Kenobi Jedi mind trick on you. They don't know how any returns are generated. Be careful, people. So just be careful. If you're, getting involved with something like this, you want to take a small portion and you want to speculate, fine. But you go into it with the full understanding that might go to 0. You get it? It might go to 0. And this is the thing, people. Over the years, our career, I've speculated in certain companies and parts of portfolios that skyrocketed and did well. Again, it was a small part of your portfolio. Boy, oh boy, don't you wish you'd put your entire portfolio in that? I don't think like that. You can't think like that. You got to get that fear of missing out of your head. Because for every one of those that just so happens to skyrocket, you get out and then falls apart, there is 1,000 others that go nowhere. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Watchdog on WallStreet.com. Become part of the Watchdog on Wall Street family. All sorts of great goodies, giveaways, our personal CFO program, podcast, you name it. Watchdog on WallStreet.com or give us a call, 800-471-5984.
And when I wake up in the morning.
The only man who is taking on the Wall Street establishment. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
I haven't done this in a while. I got to go through. I got a huge stack here. You know what? We used to spend a great deal of time going over the ripoffs and scams and headlines here on the program. And again, I learned it's no point in that. There's no point in spending a large swath of time on that. I don't think that these horror stories and me really getting crazy and yelling and screaming about them, I don't know if it had the effect, or maybe I just kept doing it too often here on the program years and years and years ago that maybe it was going one ear and out the other. But I want to put the amount of scandal, the amount of crap that we deal with every single week here on the program. I can't even tell you. Fund manager from Philly that meets orchestrating $100 million investment fraud. Brenda Smith, 20 years in prison, up to a $5 million fine. But it's an $100 million investment fraud. Why is it a $5 million fine? She lied to investors about the fund's assets and performance. I took a look at her assets. I took a look at what she was doing, and I could have told you. Wouldn't have taken us long to tell you that it was a scam. This is, again, we're a resource for you. We're a resource. We'll check it out for you, and we'll tell you if it's on the up and up. 3 operators of financial services firm indicted for $155 million investment fraud. Yeah, this is out of Brooklyn and Florida. Yeah, another, again, they still exist out there. They still exist, these boiler room type operators. Biscayne Capital, $155 million in investor losses. Yeah. No, they had offices in Florida, the Bahamas. That's right. How'd they go about doing this? Oh, yeah, they just paid themselves. They paid themselves, fake statements, all sorts of good stuff. Again, even the Madoff scandal. I went over that here on the program. If he was so good at getting people to believe that he was such a genius, if you took a look at his account statements, you'd be like, seriously? You dot matrix printer? Are you kidding me, right? All you need to do is a check. Yeah, I purchased you this stock on this day. It didn't trade at that price over the course of that day. How did you go about doing that? Oh, I can go on here, people. Stacks and stacks and stacks of these. Don't be a victim. Get the help you need. Get to our website, watchdogonwallstreet.com. That's watchdogonwallstreet.com. Personal CFO program, account repair kits, you name it. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
Chris Markowski is the watchdog on Wall Street. You should believe in math, not magic. You're listening to the Watchdog on Wall Street with Chris Markowski.
All right, welcome back, everybody. I've got to delve into this again. It's fascinating to me, and I'm going to pick on all the major news outlets out there because they're just lazy. They're just lazy. Again, every day right now, you go to Fox News's website. What's the top story? They're bringing back the whole Aruba thing. It's the missing girl, which is a sad story. They found her, homicide. Where is the boyfriend? Where is the killer? Okay, you want to devote something to that, maybe a little bit here and there. Yeah, but you're one of the country's major news agencies. You might not want to cover, maybe you might want to cover some major stories that are happening around the globe. This past week, again, meeting with some people and, was talking to them about these topics. And I was shocked at how little everybody knew. And they always ask me, I said, Chris, how do you get all these stories? Where do you get all this information? What do you do? You have to read a lot, and you have to read a lot of foreign publications as well, because there is, again, it's not news here. They're narrative building. They want to get you locked into a story. They want to get you constantly clicking. That's how they got paid. They want you. It used to be constantly watching. Then it came to how many clicks, eyeballs. This is how they're paid. This is how they make their money. It's not about doing their job properly. Well, I guess, the job is to generate profits, and that's what people are interested in. But quite frankly, what's taking place in China right now, I find pretty darn fascinating. But you actually have to do some work to look into it and what's going on and what this is going to mean. This Evergrande company that is $300 billion plus, it's probably much greater than that. A lot of accounting fraud in China. Remember that Luckin Coffee? Yeah, that was a big scam too. Lie. And again, the Chinese government's involved, so you don't know how deep this hole may go. But you've got various different service providers. People put the carpets in. People that are construction, you name it, they're not getting paid. This is a massive property construction company, and there's a large swath of the Chinese economy is based on residential housing, and they have too much of it. This company was actually trying to get its investors, it was actually in a way of paying off investors, was giving them discounted apartments. Now, let me get even into this to even delve into this a little bit further, which means it's even more, I find, fascinating. This company as well, it had other investments, invested in electric car companies, had a money management division. They had a money management division where they were promising people, I kid you not, a 12% return on their money. 12% return on their money. We've got a zero interest rate environment globally, and they were promising people 12% on their money. And I'm saying to myself, what the hell? You mean to tell me these authoritarians there in China, they didn't know that this was a scam? They couldn't see that this was a scam, that this is ridiculous, or were they involved with it? I don't know. You know what it reminded me of? You remember Alan Stanford? He had that those CDs that he was selling all over the country. I used to jump up and down here on the program all the time, warning people that it was a ripoff. He had his Bank of Antigua selling all these high-rate CDs to senior citizens. Went completely kaput. People lost everything. Guy's in jail in Florida right now. Massive scam. Eerily reminiscent to that. Now, looking at this, and again, Evergrande's not going to be the only one. It's going to go much, much deeper than this. Now, if you are paying attention to China, which you should, you take a look at some of the statements from Xi Jinping. Some of the things that he's doing, the direction he is taking the country. He is going from, Deng Xiaoping, and then he went down from Hu Jintao. They're very much pushing free market reforms. I remember I said here on the program, stop calling it communist China. They don't have Gucci and Louis Vuitton and Ferrari dealerships in communist countries. Well, Xi Jinping, he wants to rein in capitalism. He wants to go back towards Mao and Mao's vision. And this is not good for China by any stretch of the imagination. They're doing it wrong. They're doing it wrong. They've got very, very low birth rates now in China. Very low birth rates. And if they're going to head in this direction, they're not going to be this great alternative. Sure, there'll be a large market there, but how much will that market be able to purchase if they're not able to make the type of money that can afford certain products? Now, watching this unfold, and it's fascinating because, the funny thing is, and if you actually take a look at it, it's the reality. Our people here in this country that are on the left, if you actually take a look at what Xi Jinping is doing in China, what he's pushing in China, telling businesses, hey, you know what? You're making too much money. You got to share the wealth. You need to do this. We're cracking down on this industry. We're going after Macau and the casinos. They're going to make them reapply for licenses. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. This is the same type of authoritarian crap that the far left, the progressives, are pushing in this country. Exactly the same. Exactly the same. Yeah, I made a suggestion on my podcast this past week. Why don't we just cut a deal with China? I said, all you progressives here in this country that have the same vision of Xi Jinping, why don't you move there, and we'll take the capitalists in China and move them here. We'll just call it a trade. You can go there. You can get everything you want, progressives. All you need to do is move to China. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. WatchdogOnWallStreet.com. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back.